Hey, folks. I know you could be listening to one of a million different podcasts right now, and I am super grateful you picked this one. Welcome to The Human Show. I'm your host, Trish, a holistic life coach and a mom navigating this complex world of human emotions. Here, we will share stories, insights, research, and information to help you step into the most true version of yourself so you can be a happy human. Now let's get into it. Hey folks, thanks for being here. I wanted to jump on and just do a quick preface to this episode. I had asked my guest for a short bio. However, I didn't give her a lot of time, so it was kind of last minute. And when it was time for recording, I didn't have anything from her yet, so I just grabbed something from the internet from her current organization. And you'll hear when I start to introduce her with that, she stops me. And even though it is true and it is describing her current position, and I was going to go on to talk about, events she's run, she said, that's not who I am. And it was pretty cool and gave me a new perspective on the bio. In addition to that, I had a specific topic intended for this episode, and I had a list of questions for her. I did not ask a single one of them, and we barely touched on the topic that I had planned, which was community. This conversation just took its own path, and the discussion was powerful and enlightening. And I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed having it. So here we go with Jill Vinn. All right, here we go. Hey, folks. Thanks for being here. I'm excited because I have a very lovely guest joining me today. I'll tell you a little bit about her. What I've been able to find out is she's the co-founder and co-director of Disart for the past 10 years, which is a nonprofit organization that pushes disability culture forward through art.
So we're outdated.
We're outdated.
We got outdated stuff. So you want me?
Where did I find that? I found
well,
that.
it's true. What
okay.
you just said was true.
Okay.
But it's we're always revising.
Okay.
So it's funny. I was thinking as you were saying, gosh, send me your bio. And I'm like, why don't I have a bio yet? Why don't I have a bio? And I realized as I was prepping, just mentally prepping to come here, I was like, it's because I'm always evolving. And I haven't landed on what I want or who I am fully. So it's like a bio only tracks where I am in this moment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So what would you like me to share about where you are in this moment?
Yeah. So
you know what? Why don't you just do it? I don't need to say it.
Okay. it's just this thing that came to me. I'm like, I think that's why.
I love it.
Yeah. So what I want to share in this moment, I am choosing to be bigger than I've ever been before. And I'm choosing to let go of things that have held me back, that I didn't even know existed. I had an inkling, but I didn't really know what was holding me back. And I've done all the work in my life to get me to where I am as a mom, number one, as a really passionate person who's driven by a really significant why. Everything I do is always for my family. And what I'm learning to do now is that's good, but the more I take care of myself, the more I can do for my family. And so, what have I done? There's things I've done that define who I am, the things I've done in life, but that's really not who I am and who I'm becoming. And so you asked for a quote. And I was like, I went to a Brene Brown quote and I'm like, oh, it's great. It's about courage. It's all these things. And I'm like, yes. And then I just said, but my quote is, I choose to let go. So who am I? I'm someone who chooses to let go so I can fly. Is that flying through and doing the work I do with this art as a co-founder and director of an organization that celebrates and cultivates disability identity, community, and culture? Yes. Is this organization celebrating its 10th anniversary this year and going stronger than ever, even though we lost my best friend and co-founder just over a year ago? Yes. Am I learning to trust myself and my intuition? And that there is something that I've always been driven to that I had never known before, like how big it is, for sure. I am building a coaching business and I am leveling up and I am open for business. And I'm clearing out closets through muscle testing. I'm clearing out emails by muscle testing. I'm clearing out things in my life that are not serving me, my feelings of not being worthy of love, my resentments towards myself, my father who left me, who died because I didn't think I was enough to keep him on this earth. And source or God, all these, I'm letting them all go so that I can clear out all of this, so that I can have space to do whatever comes next.
Wow.
And I am been stayed small my whole life because I didn't ever want to be too much for someone. And I have people in my life now who are saying, be big. We're adults. Be big. Your being big does not make me smaller. And I, who used to always compare and regrets and live in victim, I can hear people being big around me. And I'm like, you go, girl. Right? Because I believe in empowerment and us lifting each other up. And that's what I love about your podcast. Is that's what you're about too, Trish. We're here to lift each other up. And if we feel like something that's coming in, that's creeping in, that makes us like feel less than, who's doing that? Who's saying that? Because I'll tell you, it's not our adult.
Mm-mm.
Who's running our life? Who's afraid? Who's afraid every time I get to something big and I feel this anxiety in my chest, just like I did when I wanted to raise my hand in a class and I had something to say that I thought was important. And now I've realized this is my little 5-year-old who knew that my dad was dying because he died when I was 6. And she knew if you love him so much and you give so much to this, you're still going to lose him. It's not going to work out the way you want. So I've lived with this and I'm like, gosh, why does this always show up when I'm about to do something really big or I've got a really cool idea that I want to explore? Well, it's fear. And I'm saying I'm letting that go so I can let in love and possibility and joy and play. And this work that I'm doing, I've been doing this work. So my dad died when I was 6. So this is old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just this year. I am 48 years old. It is just this year through the work with Michelle Chalfant and the adult chair coach and becoming a master coach that I understood that I never believed that I was worthy of my dad's love. I've lived with that. I didn't know I was living with that. And I didn't know that I had this limiting belief that said, you were never enough for him to choose to stay. You thought he chose to leave you because you weren't enough. Now, my adult can listen to that. You can listen to that. Anyone here is like, well, that's ridiculous. My mom, I told her that. She's like, what? I said, we don't have to understand it. We just have to be able to let it go. In this work, I've been doing major things over the last, since, well, it's end of March. So maybe 5-6 weeks, like major things. And I'll call a friend who's also in the program, and she's like, or we'll check in. It's like, okay, what happened today? What happened today? Whoa, I thought the last thing was big. And my very dear friend, Angela Johnson, who, if you haven't already met, folks, you will. She said to me yesterday, and I'm going to pull out my quote because this was really big for me. And so all my parts are activated right now. And I'm saying, I'm still going to be big. I'm still going to tell my story. She said to me yesterday, and we live just around the corner from each other, and we're very connected, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for her. And for us allowing each other to be big and saying, you go, girl, you be big. She comes to me and she's telling me something big, and I might have something that I'm navigating, and we can both exist in that same space together. I can be happy for her and she can be supportive of me, and it doesn't diminish each other in any way. So she said, I am thinking about me not understanding how stuck you were, even up until recently. I wish I had seen earlier or understood more sooner. And I said to her, this last part about not knowing the extent to how much I felt stuck and celebrating me has me choked up. I needed that. I needed to be seen and to know that it's okay to take up space. I've stayed so small for so long for everyone else's sake. That's what this work is about, Trish.
Yeah. And it's interesting because for some reason this morning, and obviously it's not a coincidence, but I was thinking about how as women we grew up learning to be smaller, to be quiet. And when we get big and we try to stand in our power, someone is there to say, whoa, what are you doing? And the first thing that came to me is, it's typically men that are doing it, but it's society in general. And what's really sad is when, I see even women doing it to each other. And the reason we do it to each other is because that's what we learned. It's like we were trained this. So when we see another woman standing in her power, trying to get big, we're intimidated and we're uncomfortable because that's not what we're supposed to do. And then we end up, judging them for it and this and that. So it's
And
all of this was
actually,
going through my head this morning. And then you just said this and it was like, whoa, I was right there before the call.
you were, because you're standing in your power. And you have work to do. I have work to do. And the question that's come up for me recently is, who am I?
Mm.
Who am I? Not who do others think I am. Not who do others say I am. Not who I've grown up believing I am. Because those are all limiting beliefs that are put on us or exist within us. Who am I? I've learned to muscle test, and it is the biggest gift I have received, because I can say, I stand in my power. And someday, and previous to now, it would be false. And
Mm.
I'll say, is that a limiting belief? Yes. Wow. I am worthy of my Father's love. False. Is that a limiting belief? Yes. Insert. I am this. I am that. And I can help people do this. And I can teach you to do it for yourself, because that's also what my work is to empower people from within. My work with this art has always been about empowering the individual, so that as we stand in our power, as we as women or people who have been discriminated against, people who have experienced and lived with racism, oppression of any form, sexism, ableism, homophobia, you name it, insert everything that has pushed on us from outside, that's in the media, that's in our families, that's if you go to church, in your church, that's in your neighborhood, that's in generations that came before you. And all of this is imposing on you. And so the work is to start to let go of what's not mine, so I can figure out what is. And then when I figure out what is, that's my work. And I'll give you an example. So the work I do with this art is so important to me. It has brought everything that I believe in into something I get to do every single day. And most recently, we're in a place where we've been provided for, like manifesting. We built this business, this organization, my colleague, my friend, Chris Smith, and I, with the support. It never was just the two of us, ever. Community, people who believed in it, people who got behind us because they saw our passion. They didn't have to understand. And then opportunities would just appear. I know you've talked about manifesting on your podcast. I'm not kidding. I've manifested my life. I've been doing it since I knew, before it was even a thing. I would put a pin in something. Like, I love project management. Someday I'm going to do that. Okay, let it go. What do you know? I love developing projects and programs. Put a pin in that. I had a family. I did all these things. I want to homeschool. Put a pin in that. I want to build business. Put a pin in that. What do you know? I put a pin in a lot of things, and I let them go. And the things that were meant to come back to me came back to me. Money came in for DisArt for the first 10 years in amounts that allowed us to sustain ourselves, allowed us to grow. And now we're trying to grow bigger. And I did some muscle testing. I'm like, okay, so I believe, like you hear, I believe in this work. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So I should have no limits to how much we can earn, right? I muscle test. We can bring in as many resources as we need. No. What? What do you mean no? Okay, and this was when I was earlier to muscle testing. Let's just start with a dollar amount. We can bring in $1 million for DisArt. No. Okay. Okay. I believe this in my head, right? We can bring in, can we try 500,000? No. Absolutely not. This is before I knew to test if it's a limiting belief. Mm-hmm. This is when I learned to test. 250,000? Do I hear 250,000? Nope. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting, because we've gotten that before. What, 100,000? Nope. 50,000? Nope. 20,000? Nope. 10,000?
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
what? I can only bring in $10,000 for DisArt. Like, DisArt, that's all, right? That's it. And you know what, Trish? Then I muscle tested with my team, and they're like, they had no limits. I couldn't even put a number to what they said. I'm like, wow, this is me. I was like,
Wow.
whoa, this is something's going on. So what did I do? I get curious because I think this is fun, Trish. I think this work is fun. I've thought this work was so hard. All this grief I lived with my whole life, generational, like shaming, emotionally abusing myself my whole life. All these things. I thought, gosh, this is going to be so hard. I'm having the time of my life discovering what's new. Ooh, what are you going to bring to me today? What can I move out of the way? What can I let go of today that I didn't know yesterday? I'm not kidding. I'm having so much fun. So I get to this and I'm like, 10,000, that's really interesting. Is that what I believe? No. Oh, is that what my husband believes? No. Is that what society believes? Yes.
Wow.
Is this mine? No. So what do I have to let go in order to shift the way that society views our work and the importance of it? You have to stand in your power. You have to lead. You have to be you. Because right now, society doesn't believe that disabled people deserve to take up space.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not true. And so my work is to support anyone really who is connected with me. I've done this work and I go downtown now and I just kept showing up to people who are living, who are part of the unhoused community or people living with housing insecurity. And I just kept showing up. Why are you doing this? I don't know. I'm just showing up. I don't have to know. I don't even have to bring anything. I just have to bring me because people want to be seen. I needed to be seen and I can do that for others. I kept showing up, kept showing up. Now, because I have the skills with the adult chair program, I can do sessions and I do sessions on the street.
So back up for a minute. When you say you started going downtown, you started showing up. Can you just
Yeah, give some
tell me more?
context.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
Tell me about
Yeah. So
that.
we had a project. DisArt has given great opportunities. We have a project called The Art of Disruption. And it's focused on uh parallel experiences of protest and disruption, specifically within the Black and disability communities. But that extends beyond, right?
Sure.
So we have these incredible artists. So our work is to use art as the means and the avenue to
Mm-hmm.
shift ourselves, shift community, just shift to to imagine, begin to artists expand our imaginations in ways that things that we used to think were impossible, or maybe we currently think are impossible, are actually possible. So we had this exhibition downtown. It was just a preview. And we said, when we shifted our mind to this, we called it a preview. When we shifted our mindset from this is like an end product, like we have to have everything figured out, we have to have all the relationships in place with the community and all that. When we shifted our mindset to say, this is just the beginning, let's see what happens. The project was the same, but we were different.
Mm.
We were told, don't go down to that park. It's not safe. We were warned, you're not going to be accepted. I'm a white woman. I'm well off. I've lived with privilege. I've gone down to the park, and from day one, it's worked. We have to drop our assumptions about ourselves and others. And so we had this beautiful time. We built community, connection. Uh, the park itself has multiple like neighborhoods, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Built. Um, it was just like, you're important. I'm important. We're in relationship together. That's how you do community work. That's how you do any work, is you connect in authentic ways with the person in front of you, whoever they are. whatever they bring. That's how we're amazing coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, you can bring me anything. And people don't, they're like, really? No, yeah, really. You can bring me anything, anything. And I
It's
could do
about,
this for you.
yeah, it's about meeting people where they are. And it
Exactly.
sounds
So
like
we did
exactly
this.
what you did at the park.
Yeah. So we did this and we had this amazing, beautiful time. We tried new things, whatever, and it was done. And I was like, oh, I want to keep going. So I just kept going. I made it part of my work week. I made it part of DisArt. Did I know where it was going? No. Did my colleagues? No. Did they support me? 100%. Use your time. We trust you. Go explore. So I kept going down. It started with just meeting people who were sleeping under the bridge that's where I make, connections. And I would just say hi or by where we were, and I'll just say hi, check in, give hugs. How are you doing? What's going on? Then I started bringing two, um, like containers of coffee. Okay, great. I have an offering for you. You receive it. You don't have to. Would you like it? Then I started bringing clementines, or I brought something else, or my mother-in-law knits hats. So she's like, I always drop these off at this other place. Would you like to take them? Yes. So I had hats and they're all in different colors and people get to choose because there's not a lot of choice in your life when you're living on the street. So I just started like giving choice to connect with me, choice to not, choice to accept my food, choice to not. People say, how can I help? Oh, can you pass this out to someone else? Yeah. So I kept coming. And then I'm like, wow, there's a lot more people at this park. So now, fast forward a few months, we've been going every week. I used to go on Fridays. Sometimes I had a couple people. Then it was just me. Now I go on Sundays because my husband comes with me. I have an intern that I work with who's an artist who's a senior in high school locally. Incredible human. He and his mom come, and we have two stainless steel insulated 5-gallon things. One is always now filled with hot chocolate, and we go through it. And the other one's filled with hot water in case we go through the first one. And I don't want a whole jug of hot chocolate in my house. I'll take hot water that cools. That's cool, but not a whole jug of hot chocolate. Because and we bring food, we bring blankets, we bring connection, and we just show up. This last week, I went by myself. We have a whole system. I've met people that I see other parts of the community and other parts, other parts of the city. Like, so I see them elsewhere, other times of the week, building relationship, making connection. This last Sunday, I go there, it's just me. And I actually brought my dog, who actually took on a lot of energy. So he was
Oh, yeah.
exhausted after. So I think I'm going to have to get him a selenite
Yeah, for his collar.
collar. Mm-hmm. But the hot chocolate and these offerings are people choose if they want to accept them or not. I'm not just dropping them off and leaving, which happens, and there's a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep showing up, keep showing up. And this week I'm like, hey, could you help me? It's just me. People always offer to bring things out of my car, whatever. Could you be the one passing out the hot chocolate today? Great. So Bruce helped me the whole time. So I could go connect with people. So I could do a coaching session on the sidewalk surrounded by so many people. And and then someone, while I was doing that coaching session, says at the end, hey, do you have a minute? Can I talk to you? Sure, of course. Pulls me aside, and he is so nervous. And I said, let's just sit down. He used the word God. God told me I needed to talk to you. Okay. I trust that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got so many things. Okay. We're not going to do a session. We're not even going to talk about, I have this. No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need to know all those things right now, but I am available. So I'm going to send you my link. And while I'm doing that, can you breathe in for 3 seconds and hold it and breathe out for 4? And he said, You want me to be still for 7 seconds? I said, no, you don't. That's okay. How about we start with 1? Okay. It took so much courage for him to reach out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how much courage it takes for people to show up for themselves, to ask for help. I've lived it. I lived with severe, significant depression for 20 years. And I'm here to tell you, I don't anymore because I showed up for myself and I've learned so many things along the way. And I've been trusting my journey. One time, even I wasn't trusting. I was regretting and fretting. And what if my dad hadn't died? What if this? What if that? Blah, blah, blah. All these what ifs. And I go in and I was running. I was a very active runner at the time. I go into this running store they always go to. And sure enough, sitting in front of me, right when I walk in, is a t-shirt that says, "Trust your journey." I have since been able to connect with my father and others. So I know I'm not alone. I thought I was alone my whole life. I have never been alone. And he has affirmed, yes, that was me.
Wow. And you listened.
I listened. I didn't, I listened. I didn't know even at that point, I didn't even know if I was ready to listen, but it was so unavoidably necessary for me to, it stopped me that I can still to this day picture that moment. I've never seen a t-shirt with that saying. I can Google it because you better believe recently I've Googled it. I've never seen it in the store since. And it stopped me, Trish.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I let go of something. Doesn't mean I was ready.
Right.
It means my journey came to a place where you have to start trusting your journey.
That's powerful. I want to back up again
Perfect.
because I love what you're doing in the park. And I know it started as a project with Disart, the project, The Art of Disruption. So I know you weren't going there with Disart with the intent of giving out hot chocolate and coaching people on the street. So I'm just curious what it started as and how art was a part of that.
Yes, I love that you're asking this question. I love this because that was the question. Is this like community? Like can you do what we do with this art? Like this art is high quality art,
Mm-hmm.
right? Highest quality. We are getting the greatest voices in art. But what you're doing is community organizing. It's like social worky, right?
Yeah.
How do those coexist? Well, when you start, and this was asked of us, fair, really fair question. And I love when questions come and you're like, my first instinct is to get defensive.
Yeah.
And my second is to listen and process and say, there's a reason that question was asked.
So that just to be clear, you created or helped create this project, Art of Disruption, and this was a question in response to that.
This was a question because, okay, so we had beautiful art, all this happening. We had art workshops, we had different things, but it was really community centered.
Okay.
Like, is that really in line with what disart is?
Mm,
Is that mission
yeah.
alignment? That is a great question. Someone in our lives, very important, was steering us back to, okay, maybe you're drifting.
Mm,
Get us back in line. It was shared from the heart, from a place of, okay, what does that mean? So I've taken that And as I have worked and shown up, it's always in my mind now. And I do other stuff connected, but it just like there's lots of tangents, Trish. But I also go regularly, weekly to a local women's shelter and provide art workshops and bring in. I've worked with artists and bringing in another artist to help, and I'm trying to develop and connect with artists within the community that I'm connecting with to co-lead them and eventually lead them. So
Mm.
I'm also doing what I'm working on is building programming now that I know that I don't have to be at the center of it for it to live on.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order for things to continue beyond me, because at some point I will leave this art. That's inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order, it's same with our families. If you're a cycle breaker, in order for new things to live on, you have to do work for it to exist when you're not there.
Right.
So I'm building this. At the women's shelter, I have it's working. The women's shelter is like, this is what we need. The women there want it. It's building, it's building, it's building. We have now a formal collaboration. And I can formalize that. And I didn't know yet. So that was happening. And I'm like, I see this. This is happening. This I can make happen. Downtown, further in downtown, like at the park and outside the men's shelter where we were passing out hot chocolate. So we go a couple places. We kind of travel between just a block. I didn't know yet how art was going to be part of it.
Mm.
But we knew that we were going to do another event this coming May that we're calling Art in the Park GR because I'm Grand Rapids, Art in the Park GR. And this is a second iteration of what we did in the fall, which was a community barbecue. And we had an artist workshop. And when you do a barbecue with charcoal grills, it takes a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we had chairs, we had hangout, we had art, we had just community,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, okay, how do I keep this in mission focus with this art? Oh, as it gets warmer, it's too cold to do like use our hands outside. Like I'm passing out hand warmers, like and feet warmers, and all. When it gets warm, we're going to set up another table with chairs that just has art supplies and just create. There are a lot of artists in the community. We just don't know them yet. We haven't seen them yet. They haven't had opportunity yet. So what happens is I have been doing this, passing out chocolate. There, we go in the mornings, and then we just happen to go back by the park, and we see that there's this group there, and we've been noticing there's groups that come by. It's lunchtime. They're passing out meals. Wow, I got to know them. I go up, I get, exchange contact. They don't have time to talk, but we stay connected. Go, go, go. We're doing this event. Gosh, how am I going to do all this again? How am I going to fundraise? How am I going to do all this? Like, this is a lot for just me. I know I can't do this all myself, but how are we going to do this? I reach out to her and I said, hey, we're doing this project where we have a little bit of money from the city and I'm looking for partners. And I would love if you would be interested in helping with the meal part of it and we'll bring the art. Great. Hey, by the way, she says, I know the three other groups who also come down to the park on different weekends, on different Sundays. I'm going to connect with them. We've never had a calendar to connect all of us. I'm going to connect with them and see if they're okay. Now, let's you were thinking Friday, but what if we switch it to Sunday, the third Sunday in May, because I know what group is planning to go there. So they're already
Mm.
planning to go there. What if we call them? I'll talk to them. I know them. Great. Just let me know because we're not here to interfere. Great. Message me later. Sunday it is. Sends me a Google Doc. She's never done Google Docs before. Has a whole list, menu, food, prices, what we need. All these groups are going to take care of the food.
Wow.
What? So Disart gets to stay in its lane. Our job
Mm-hmm.
is to put out a call, bring the artists, bring the art. There's this huge green space. We don't want people to bring yard games. It's a party. And the beautiful thing is that all the people who are putting it together, some Disart is not a religious affiliate, but there's one group that is. Great, bring yourself, because there's people who connect specifically to you.
Mm-hmm.
This other group, there's people who are connecting specifically to you. Other group, there's people connecting specifically to you, and there's people connecting specifically to me. So what happens when the people in the area witness all the people that they have started to trust and continue to trust, who have been showing up month after month, week after week, showing up, and they're all working together? What does that do for a person? I am so excited, and we're all bringing our own stuff there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're working together. And I don't have to do, like, I can go, I mean, talk about a story. I can go out and ask for support for this kind of thing now, because we're all working together. It's organic. It's not forced in. It's not performative. It's not anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's done with love. And the people who show up from that area, they will come. And we're going to ask people that I work with at the women's shelter and down there, would you like to create a flyer for this? Yeah, why don't you submit a flyer, and we'll pick a few, and you'll get compensated for you being an artist. Now you see how this all just builds?
Mm-hmm.
But if I had started from the beginning, knowing where I wanted to be in the end, none of this would have unfolded.
Right.
None of it. And there's even more that's ready to unfold, and I don't even know it yet. So I just keep showing up for myself, for my community. And if other people in the community come along who think we're worth more than $10,000, I welcome you too. But until then, we're going to build ourselves up, because we have all the resources we need within us. And I started to realize resources is not just money. And this example I just shared, that's not just money. Resources are people. People are showing up.
Right.
And we're building from the inside. And when we build from the inside, the systems around us can't do anything except adapt and change or get the hell out. My family has changed because I've changed, because I do my work. My mom is different. My sister's different. My brother's different. My husband, my relationship was different. My kids are different. All those things that, Trish, I was not as present as I needed to be, or not needed to be, wanted to be, as when they were growing up, because I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I could not be the mom that they needed. My mom was not the mom that she needed. And back and back and back and back. And you know what I've realized is that this is a generational thing of us being afraid of loving too much. My mom and her mom and her mom, and all the way back, what I'm realizing through this work is it's not that they didn't love me or didn't know, like they were afraid of losing me if they loved me so much. And so we can't assume that people don't show up for us because we're not enough. It could be their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She was afraid, just like I was afraid. I've been afraid to let my husband fully in. Why can I let my kids in? Why can I let other people in? But my husband, the one that I have been with since I was 17, why is it still so hard to let him in? It's because I'm afraid that if I let him in fully, I'm going to lose him. This is my work, but it's not only my work. But when I start to let love in, guess what? My relationships with him grow stronger. My relationships with everybody else grow stronger. So what happens when the people within the communities that I'm working with begin to let love in, begin to understand their worth, begin to know that they're enough, begin to believe it? What happens when I coach myself? Yes, I lean on other people, but I can do this work for myself, and I am releasing so much in my bed. I just lay there and I do this work for myself. And that's my work, is not to have you dependent on me, but to know that you have it within you. Everything you need is within you. every single thing. And it's my job to help you find it. And then when we find it, can you imagine the way this world is going to shift? Communities started with my family, and then my extended family, and then my friends, and my what happens when this shifts happens at a community level. I realized in the last month or so, Jill, you're not just a person doing this work. When you have an idea, you're a person doing this work and you have a whole organization. You are a leader of an organization, and it's time you start acting like it, because when you want to make something happen, you can make it happen. When if someone else comes with an idea, it's not as easy for them to make it happen. I can help you. I'm great at helping people take idea from seed to doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also part of my coaching now, is I know how to weave personal and professional development because I've been doing it with my team at Disart for 10 years. And now I'm doing it with people I'm mentoring. And now I'm doing it with people I'm coaching, because everybody has an idea. It may not be a business idea, but it's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's currently impossible. And my job is to help you understand that it's not, that it's achievable and it is possible.
I think the when you were talking about this community event they are organizing and how it sort of grew, and or the support really for it grew, it reminded me of the whole trust your journey because I think that was a big part of it. That that piece, that was a journey. That whole event, this whole experience is a journey, and you trusted it. And
So is
like you
Disart.
said,
Disart
yeah,
was built on intuition,
okay.
trust.
And like you said, being open and letting people in. If you hadn't let people in, it wouldn't have grown the way that it did. If you didn't let people in, you wouldn't have accumulated all of the support that just because you kept showing up and you let people see you, which is scary. And it sounds like for a lot of your life, you were too scared to do. And I totally can relate. So it's amazing to hear that story and to hear how much things change and people change around you when you let people in.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And so I know we're coming to our end of our time, but one of the things I've learned also is to ask for things that you want. And I would love to be able to come back on your show with my friend, colleague, and client, Ines Malia Sarmento, because we're building a project called Three Truths. The three truths, the pillars of these three truths are that we need to be believed. We need to believe ourselves. We need to build trust in others, but we also need to build trust in ourselves. And we have to be consistent. So we have to be consistent for others, but we have to be consistent for ourselves. And Ines lives with dissociative identity disorder, and the work and the methodologies of the adult chair and my intuition and playing. I'm not kidding. We have fun. She lives with dissociative identity disorder, and we have fun. What? What? Just sit with that for a minute.
Yeah,
And then I'm saying, Trish, please invite us to come on your show,
I would love to.
because we are going to be the leaders in supporting people with dissociative identity disorder. We are going to change perceptions of self first. And we are going to change the ways that you don't have to re experience all the trauma in order to let it go. There are ways that you can just choose when you're ready to let it go.
Thank you for that. I do. I mean, if you have a little more time, I have more time.
I know. I feel like that's another chapter.
Oh, that's definitely another chapter. that deserves a whole nother episode. And I
I'm
want to hear
so
about that.
excited.
Um, all about that because I know you also talked I know you're also planning a podcast around it as well, right? Which is super exciting.
We are. And guess what? We thought the podcast would be launched by now. And we're like, nope, nope, nope. You know why? Because we're not ready.
Yeah, you have to
But
be
when
ready.
things say, gosh, you're not ready, listen, it's not
Listen.
because you're not good enough. It's not because you're not capable. It's you haven't formed all your thoughts yet. If we had launched our podcast already, we would have to backtrack and we wouldn't have done all the growth and the understanding and the recognition of how much bigger this is than we originally thought.
Yeah.
Can I tell you another story that's coming up recently?
Yeah, please.
I talk about not being ready. So a family connection. So this happens in business, this happens, but it also happens very personally. My mom remarried my stepfather when I was 10. So he's been in my life for a very long time. He currently is living with dementia. And he has been in a rehab facility and then a long-term space for, let's say, I guess it's March, maybe 4 or 5 months, right? And my stepfather was someone who lived from his adolescent chair all his life. Very
Wow.
protective, emotionally abusive. Not to me, because I wouldn't allow it, but I sure did get in the way between him and my mom and my brother. And I'll say my stepdad and I have a very, very close relationship. Is it because I stood up to him? Is it in spite of standing up for him? Is it because I let go and I forgave him and I began to understand that he also has his own stuff? I've let go of this even before I knew what I was doing because I accepted him for where he was and is. Now, that's not easy. I'm not saying you need to accept people who have been aggressive or hurtful in your life. I'm not saying that. In my case, and my siblings, it's different, but everybody's relationship with someone is different. And so what's happened, and this, I just share all that because it's context for the reality that since he went into the rehab facility the first time, and my mom said, I can't bring him home. And that means the first time she said, I can't do this. He has been the sweetest, nicest, gentlest, funniest, beautiful person that I know. And what has happened is that there may be a few people in another realm, like my father, and maybe my close friend Chris, I will say yes, that have been helping him become the person he was always meant to be. And my mom and my stepdad, who did not live with joy, who lived in a place where walls were up, defenses were up, all of this was outward, right? Here's this individual, this human, this being who was trapped. Really, I believe he was trapped in who he was told he was supposed to be, the jobs he was supposed to do as a protector, and of generations of whatever before him. And now my heart swells in a way that didn't swell before. I have always called him by his name. I have never called him dad. But in the last couple months, I'm like, I can refer to him, even if I don't say it out loud. In my mind, he is my dad. Because he's always tried to protect. He just didn't know how to show up with compassion for himself or others. So again, this is my story, not others. But just recently, my mother, so this is the story. I'm looping back. I'm giving you context, looping back to when you're not ready, and listen to it. My mom has said, I really want him to come home. Why? Because he doesn't want to be there. What about for you? Okay. What about extra support for you? You've been enjoying doing this and this and this, and you feel good knowing that he's safe and he's kind. And when you're together, you love your time together more than you have ever loved your time any other time in your life. Okay. I feel like I have to do this for him. No, the best thing you did was have him stay in the rehab facility because it gave you time to take care of yourself, to do your own work so that you can show up and be a partner, a loving, connected partner, which they both say we have never loved each other more than we do today.
Wow.
Ever. And he's asking her to marry him all the time, and we're and all these things, and it's genuine. And she said, I mean, it's just wild. Okay, so she's like, I really want to bring him home. I want to bring him home. Okay, mom, I'm not your coach. So here's the thing. I've learned how to keep boundaries and be supportive. Codependency with my mom. Remember, I said I protected her.
Mm-hmm.
I can show up for her and still be in my space. And I can support her because I have the tools and the skills to support her. And so I've gotten a new skill is I can read tarot cards. And one of those, the cards, guess what? The cards that told me they needed me and I needed them were surrender cards.
Wow.
So talk about letting go.
Yeah.
I was told I never have used the word surrender before. Surrender, that's not my word. It came to me. I went to the spirit shop with my close friend Angela, and these were the cards that I had to buy. I bought them and they've changed my life because I'm letting go, letting go, letting go. That's how I'm letting go of resentments, because it's telling me what I need to do. I don't have to think it. I just know it then. So, anyways, I did a reading with my mom, and the first thing she had to do in order to bring her husband home, surrender to joy. Wow. Surrender to joy. Is that really what we expected would be the first thing? Never in a million years. The second, and I'm not going to remember all these, but surrender to people pleasing. Oh gosh, that really resonates me. People around me are saying, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. And it's like, and I could pull them all up, but we don't need to go through her whole reading. But in the end, it was basically, it came down actually to my father, knowing that my father was there and supporting her and that she could talk to him and he was listening and that she can do this. It came down to, you can do this. It's your fear that's getting in the way. Okay. So she goes in and she's like, I want to bring him home. She tells the social worker. Crickets, crickets. I don't hear from her in a while. Hey, how's it going? Are you bringing him home? No, I chickened out. Well, did you chicken out or were you not ready?
Mm.
Okay, what do you need to be ready? Well, I don't know. I think I need to know that I can do this. Okay, have you brought him home for visits at home? Well, no. Well, have you brought him home? Let's start there. Okay. How'd that go? Oh, it was so great. We had so much fun. Oh, but he was so sad when he went back.
Mm.
Yeah, of course. So were you, Mom. You guys talk about your feelings? No, you don't. People who are aggressive and angry are often not talking about their feelings. Does he talk about his feelings? No. So I guess what? I coach him too. I show up and coaching, I say coaching lightly. I show up as a daughter
Mm-hmm.
with skills
Right.
to help them both learn. If you talk about your feelings, if you acknowledge what's really going on, it comes out over here. This is what you think it is, but we know it's something else. So let's just get to that. Let's get all those parts away. I just want to talk to the adult right now. Right. So she goes and she's like, oh, I'm going to bring him home. This is when we did the reading. after the second one. I'm going to bring him home before she went and did the second one. Okay. You said you were going to bring him home. You chickened out. I got these cards. Let's try this. Okay. All right. I know. I'm going to bring him home. Goes in, talks to the social worker. I don't hear from her. Mom, how's it going? Oh, I couldn't do it. Okay. You're not ready. What do you need to do? I don't know. What if you tried an overnight? What if you tried 2 overnights? What if you created a schedule? Okay. Okay. So what has she been doing? She's been having him come home, having him stay overnight. It's been going great. What's the hardest part, Mom? Oh, it's so hard when he has to go home. Is it for you or for him? For both of us. Yeah, it is. Tell him that. He's an adult. Tell him that. Okay. This Sunday, a couple days ago, I've been having this like feeling like they're in Florida. I'm like, I feel like they need to come back to Grand Rapids. I feel like they need to come back because they usually come back in the summer. And she's like, oh, I wouldn't be able to do this, right? I can't do this. Because I call her and I say, Mom, how's it going? And she just lets it. I don't know. I want to be able to bring him home, but I just don't know I can. What are you afraid of? Just pause. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid he's going to get angry again. Okay, that's fair, Mom. What's truth in this moment? Well, he hasn't been angry for months in that way. Of course, he gets angry, he gets irritated, but not taking it out on her, and not really. It's like I said, he's like the sweetest person now. He's like a gummy bear. That just came to mind. He's like a gummy bear, like squishy and sweet and cute, and you just want to gobble him up, kind of, right? I'm not kidding. Like, he's 6'5". Now he's 6'3" because he's older and he shrunk.
Yeah,
Right?
still a big gummy bear.
He's still a big gummy bear to me,
Yeah.
and he changes colors every day, right? And so it's your fear. Okay, what happens? Oh my, you're right. He doesn't. He hasn't gotten angry. Okay, and if he starts to, and you notice that, call me, because what happens when I talk to him? Oh, he works things out. Yes. Okay, so now what's keeping you? Well, I don't know. What happens when I have to put him back in a place? Well, there is a very good likelihood that you will have to have him in a place where he's going to have full-time care. At that point, what is true? He may not know what's going on because he has dementia. And 2, you will have enjoyed all this time together, and you will have had fun. And you will get to that place and you'll be like, I don't regret bringing him home. And besides that, you will not be alone in making that transition.
Right.
Okay, so now what's keeping you in the way? Nothing. Okay. I said, Mom, and I don't do this. I said, I do not. I have been giving you space for growth and all this. I do not do this very often, but I am telling you right now, you need to bring him home. You do not have time. You need to bring him home. This is the truth. This is the time. You are ready. You've done everything you can to prepare. And so is he. Bring him home. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. What are you going to say when you go in tomorrow? Well, blah, blah, blah. What? Let's get a statement. Let's get a statement from your, like, a truth. Oh, okay. And then, like, I don't need to know your statement.
Right.
Write your statement. Write it down. Read it before you go to bed. Keep saying it as you're falling asleep. And when you wake up, the first thing you do is you read that statement. And you figure out then what you need to tell him. Because he wants to come home, but you need to tell him, no, it's not. It's not for him only. Right? As she says, well, it's for him. No, it's not for him only, is it? No. So next day comes, I'm like, okay, can I check in with her? No, it's not time, not time. All of a sudden I check in. I'm like, Dad, can I check in with her? Yes. Okay, can I call her? Yes. Call her. I was just about to text you. okay, what happened? I went into the social worker and I said, guess the third time's the charm. I'd like to bring him home and do not let me change my mind. And I said, wow, wow. And what did he say when you told him? Well, he didn't really say much. Okay, that's interesting. What did you tell him? And she had this beautiful, it's almost like she was giving him his vow, like vows at a wedding. Like, it's going to be beautiful, but it's also going to be difficult, and we're going to make it. Like, something paraphrased. I don't know her words. I wanted to write them down, and I'm like, they're her words. I hope she'll share them. So I get to be with him on FaceTime. And I'm like, how's it going? What do you think about going home? Well, and he comes up with some jokes, some defensiveness, like using humor. It's his thing, right? I gotta live with her. Blah, blah. Really? Okay. Hey, all of the parts of you that are showing up right now, can you move aside so I can talk to him? Can I talk to the 80-year-old right now? Please, I just want to talk to him. All right. Thank you. You can tell it shifts. How are you really feeling? Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yeah. And then they say, okay, we're going to go play bingo now. She wasn't ready.
Right.
They weren't ready. She wasn't ready. And it was okay for her not to be ready. And now my sister's going down this weekend, and she says, what can I do? Because I navigate most of this. I said, you have a really big part to play. She's a teacher, but she also provides caregiving support. So again, that's evidence of community. I'm not doing this all myself. I'm not checking in if it's just because I feel like I need to take care of her. No, I'm checking in because I want to.
Right.
I'm not codependent in that.
Right.
Used to be. I live in community now, and I develop communities that are supportive so that I can keep living in it. So my family, everything I do is so that my family can know that no matter what comes up in their life, that they're supported.
And you mentioned codependency, and I think it's an important difference. Everything you were just talking about is when you support people, you're doing it with the intention of guiding them to the point where they can help themselves. You're helping to empower people. So, and it's sounds like the same thing you do when you create communities. It sounds like that's such a huge part of your life for a long time, is fostering communities. And the goal is to empower others. And I think it's important to recognize when you're supporting someone that there's a difference between being codependent and being supportive with the intention of helping the other person see their own power.
Yep.
And it sounds like you've spent a lot of time, have a lot of experience doing that. And it's a whole nother level of support. And when you are supporting someone in a codependent way, you're not actually helping them. And that's a big difference here.
You're actually sacrificing yourself, and you're not helping them. So I also want to say I'm still learning. So for example, so I had this friend who texted, and you could tell that she could use some support, right? She's just like, but she wasn't asking for it. But I immediately go, so this is today. I'm telling you, I'm still working. I'm on my journey. That's why I couldn't define my bio, right? I'm on my journey. I'm a person who's perpetually on her journey to whatever is coming next. So I'm in my kitchen. I'm typing this, and I type this whole thing out. Well, I'm here if you need me. Call me. I can help you with your business. I can help you with blah, 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 blah. And I just stopped myself, and I asked myself, who's writing this text? How old are you? Oh, you're 12. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being so generous and always wanting to help others.
Can I ask who you were trying to take care of when you were 12?
My mom and my brother, in that dynamic of codependency. My mom and my brother. And so she's been really good. She's been amazing to get me and help me. And 5-year-old and other 10-year, like all these, they all have been helping me. They've been
Yeah.
helping me this whole time. And I'm realizing now, just today, I'm like, wait a minute, what would you rather be doing? Well, my dad is babysitting your 5-year-old and your 10-year-old. Can I go hang out with them? Yeah. Because I'm gonna then, okay, great, go. Thank you so much. Have a good day. I don't know what they're doing today, but I'm gonna work and you go play. Oh, and by the way, your brother who never was born because of a miscarriage, he's there today too.
Wow.
So go play. I'll do this. Okay. And then I asked myself, okay, once I know she's set, okay, now what do you really want to do? And my text at that point is, I'm here for you. Please let me know what you need.
And that was it. Yeah, because
That was it. And you want to know yes,
that was
that
grown up Jill. That was
that was
adult Jill
adult
saying that.
Jill,
Mm-hmm.
because I noticed it and I'm doing this still today. This is endless. Our work is never
Yeah.
done. But that's like, oh, I'm not being, no, that's so cool that I could pause and recognize this. And want to know the response? Thank you! Exclamation mark. I may need a session.
Yeah. You weren't trying to save them. You weren't trying to jump in and
I
decide what
wasn't
kind of
trying
help
to,
they needed. You
what
just
exactly? Can you say that again? I just
yeah.
interrupt. I like that.
That's what
Yeah.
you weren't trying to decide what kind of help they needed. So you were supporting them by letting them make the choice. And that's not being codependent. That's being truly supportive. So
Yes, it's possible
yeah. And
and
it's
it's
awesome.
joyful.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that because it's just so cool to hear when we as a coach, I think it's so great and so powerful for you to share these moments where you're still learning and you're still working. And I think sharing that is so important because I used to think, people who got to this level and they're coaches or therapists or um, spiritual leaders or that they get to this point and they're like, that's it. They've mastered everything and now they're done. But none of them have. They never, everyone is practicing. You're always practicing. So I appreciate you sharing that because, like you said, we're always doing the work.
Yep. Yep. And my colleague, who is leading the art of disruption for disart, she uses the words, I'm continuously becoming.
Oh, I love
That
that.
is the theme of that part of that exhibition. And then after that, Trish, after I had that text, I'm getting ready for this conversation with you. My heart starting, like, that feeling in my chest is coming back. And now I know that's my 5-year-old because I connected with her yesterday. And that's why,
Mm.
like, you don't need to do all this. This is big stuff. That means, Trish, I was really excited. She's going to do something big, right? She
Oh,
comes when it's something big. That's how
okay.
I
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, all right. Hey, thanks so much for checking in with me. I am so good. I am so good. You can go back to playing. Okay. That happened right before. And you want to know what else happened? When my dog was around me, I'm like, I'm safe because he's a protector for me too.
Mm.
That's his job.
Right.
I'm safe. He's not an emotional support dog by like name or whatever, but
Right.
sure. I mean, we know our pets, many of them are that way. I
Mm-hmm.
am safe. And I just kept saying, I am safe. I am safe. And you know what? I felt it and he calmed down
Wow.
because he can feel that.
Yeah.
It's his job to feel that. That's what he feels like his purpose is. And I'm like, that's not your purpose.
Right.
I got it. I am safe. So I am doing this work up until the moment before and we sat down for this conversation. And you better believe when we're done, I'm going to keep doing this work because
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I never knew how much joy can come from doing this difficult personal work. Because what happens is I'm like, that suitcase Michelle always talks about, or like the suitcase
Yeah.
that we're carrying around. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm throwing out like clothes. I'm getting rid of the old clothes because guess what? I'm getting a new wardrobe.
Oh, I love that.
I'm choosing to let these old
Yeah.
things go. I mean, I have shirts. I mean, think about your closets. How many of you have a shirt or or underwear? Seriously, let's be real. Underwear that is way too old and not should still not be in your
Buried
drawer.
at the bottom of the drawer.
Yeah, why is it still
Why are
there?
you hanging on to that?
I can tell you, I can teach you muscle test, and you will find you do not need that buried underwear anymore.
Can you come back for another episode to talk about muscle testing?
Yes, yes,
Because
yes. It's like
I'm,
better. It's as good or better than Marie Kondo because it's like muscle testing and cleaning out yourself and all the clutter in your life.
yeah, that sounds big.
I don't mind being a regular.
I mean, we already have at least two more. I already have you
I'm
slated now for two more.
I'm in. I'm in because
I love it.
you know why? Because I want a podcast. I will do a podcast. We will do a podcast with Three Truths, but this is more about my coaching. And so you're giving me a platform because you empower other coaches and other humans. You're giving me something that I don't have capacity to do right now. So thank you. You just gave me space and time and to just like process. Like this was a session for me. You're giving
Wow.
sessions, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, this was a session because you're helping me lock in. You're helping me lock in that I can do this.
You can do this.
And just by speaking that and putting it out into the world, that's not a limiting belief anymore. So thank you.
You're
So I can
welcome.
come back for whatever segments you want because I'd love to be a regular on the Human Show.
Yeah, I would love for you to be a regular. I mean, I feel like there's so much more to talk about. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of Jill Venn, and I want to know so much more. Why don't you mention how people can find you, how people can get in touch with you if they'd like to work with you?
I'd love that. So yes, so if anything's or many things or you're curious or anything's resonating, if you're called to connect with me, I'll be here. And we'll start small because that's what I do. You can sign up on for a 30-minute session. And if you only need 5 minutes, that's okay. If you only can breathe for 1 second in and 1 second out, that's okay. Right? So you can find me at jillvin.com. So I'll spell that JILL Vin, V as in Victor, Y, N as in Nancy.com. And I am really open for business.
Awesome. I will also include that in the show notes so people can find you. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's just, I feel like I could just keep chatting with you for hours. So we definitely,
I am a talker.
we definitely need some more. We need to schedule a few more episodes because we'll have to decide which one's going to be next because we have a lot of other topics here. I love it.
So excited.
All right. So this feels like a good place to wrap up for you.
It's
No,
hard to wrap up.
you're like, no, never wrapping up.
Never wrap
Never
up. And
wrapping up.
that's the feedback I've gotten from people I've coached to. I just had a set. It's like they want more. That's how I'm
Mm,
feeling with you, Trish. I want more.
for you as a coach, I think that's a cool thing to hear. People are going to keep coming back because they
Yeah.
want more.
And for you as a podcaster, it's a good thing to hear.
You're right. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up then. And thank you again for being here. And to everyone listening, as always, you are enough just as you are, and you are loved. Make a great day.